in pieces as they fly. Drones over Norfolk chasing ghosts, metal wings on eastern coasts. We stand our ground, we face the blaze in this futuristic maze. Unanswered questions tear the night, flickering screens bathed in light. Signals crossed, who pulls the strings? Twisted dance on techno wings.
Hey everybody, hang on. Good to see everybody today. Thanks for watching TNS Texas News Studio. I'm your host, Mark Myers. Want to get you caught up on the latest developments, which is, again, always quite a bit. Let me change a couple things up real quick here. And do that. And then give some shout outs to everybody. Hey Retro, good to see you as well. And then hey Hilly over on YouTube. Clint as well, guys. Hey, I see Shay, good to see you as well. Thanks everybody for coming in. Just kind of a quick update. So let me get you going on here. First off, we've been watching, of course, Syria very closely today. All kinds of stuff going on again in the Middle East. If it's not Israel and Lebanon. Developments across Syria. We're going to get you caught up among all the other things that are breaking today, and it's just one thing after another, after another, after another. So let me get you caught up on these developments. I'm just going to be going over the bigger developments of the day. Today's, of course, Friday, the day after Thanksgiving. Hope you all had a fantastic and happy Thanksgiving as well. So let me get you caught up. That is not what I want. It's one of these days, guys, where I'm just trying to get the imagery updated here. Okay. So, and I'm looking at different sources in here. But again, we've been watching Syria today. Some of the latest developments showing Syrian military sources. Damascus expects new Russian military equipment to arrive at the Russian air base in Syria within the next 72 hours. And again, Syrian military sources, we received a promise of Russian military assistance to prevent factions from controlling Aleppo. And Syrian army, our forces are still in the western neighborhoods of Aleppo and have not withdrawn from them. And again, we're watching, again, the Aleppo, of course, has been taken over by rebels today. And again, the developments so far that there's been further control into the certain areas and neighborhoods of at least western Aleppo earlier today. Also, the flag of the Free Syrian Army has been raised over the citadel in eastern Aleppo. Armed factions released 700 detainees from Air Force and political security branches in Aleppo. Military sources say armed factions took control of more than 70% of Aleppo city earlier. So again, Syrian rebel forces have seized the Aleppo citadel, taking over a key historic defensive point in the center of Aleppo. Armed factions have also, in northern Syria, we took control of the municipal palace in the center of Aleppo. Also, there's been reports of mass movements of Russian paramilitaries in the Sheikh Maqsad district of Aleppo, as it appears a defensive stand is being prepared. So guys, just an incredible amount of developments going on. That's just in Syria alone. And this has been going on throughout the day that we've been watching very closely. Syrian National Army was launching operations. Clashes have been reported. SDF reinforcements continue to arrive in Aleppo. And I mean, this is just Iraqi army sending reinforcements to the borders of Syria, west of Mosul. The University of Aleppo is now under rebel control. First time they say it's ever happened. And I'm going back through time throughout the day here. People in Tripoli, North Lebanon, celebrating the rebel advances in Aleppo. So we've been watching all these developments throughout the day as these rebels have been moving closer in and capturing key areas around the area and city of Aleppo. We're going to keep a close eye on that. But there's even more developments going on. One is the U.S. Army, the General Jasper Jeffers, has arrived in Beirut and will head the Ceasefire Monitoring Committee in Lebanon. China urges U.S. to exercise extreme caution ahead of Taiwan's President Hawaii's visit. Chinese military, or media I should say, U.S. Japanese plan to deploy HIMARS missiles on island near Taiwan, and it worries China. North Korean leader to Russian defense minister, we are ready to expand and develop relations between the two countries more actively in all areas. North Korean also is saying, leader says to Russian defense ministry, America clinging to unwise military adventure that calls for a tough response. The North Korean leader to Russian defense minister, missile attacks on Russia and our Western interference in Ukraine conflict that requires a response. The North Korean leader also said to the Russian defense minister, we support your recent ballistic missile strikes on Ukraine to deter America and the West. Beyond that, guys, Finnish army is starting to announce start of ground forces training near Russian border. Okay? So incredible developments, so many factions going on in the world. Hey, there's Bing John here. So let me continue on some of these other developments today, because we've had fighter jets. CBS News is reporting, been all over as well. Fighter jets scrambled as 11 Russian and Chinese warplanes fly through South Korea's air defense zone. South Korea's military said Friday it scrambled fighter jets as 5 Chinese and 6 Russian military planes flew through its air defense zone, an area wider than the country's airspace. 5 Chinese and 6 Russian military aircraft entered and exited the Korea's air defense identification zone in the East Sea and South Sea from 9:35 a.m. to 1:53 p.m. local time. That was from the South Joint's Chief of Staff said in a statement. Says the both planes crossed in the KIDIZ without violating South Korea's airspace, the JCS said, adding the military identified the aircraft before they entered the KIDIZ and deployed Air Force fighter jets to take tactical measures in preparation for any contingencies. Chinese Defense Ministry called the flights their 9th Joint Strategic Patrol, which occurred above the Sea of Japan, known as the East Sea in South Korea. Says it added in a post on its official social media account that the flights were held Friday according to the annual cooperation plan between the Chinese and Russian militaries. South Korea's military officials told local media that Chinese military aircraft flew toward the small islands off of South Korea's eastern coast after passing between the Korean peninsula and Japan near the contested submerged rock of Edo. Says Russian planes also flew south toward the Dokdo islets. Officials said the Chinese and Russian aircraft flew together over the sea before departing. So that's been going on throughout the day. Let me show you this. The next one here, in the world that we're living in, pull this up. Russian Emergencies Ministry calls on citizens to prepare for an emergency bag to survive in conflict zones or high-risk areas. The next report that I've got for y'all, this is coming from Reuters. Iran nuclear proliferation, critical threat in coming months, French spy chief says. And this is coming from Geneva, the risk of Iranian nuclear proliferation is a serious threat in coming months, and Britain and France are working on strategies to prepare for such an event, the head of France's Foreign Intelligence Service said on Friday. Says, our services are working side by side to face what's undoubtedly one of the threats, if not to say the most critical threat in the coming months, possible atomic proliferation in Iran. The rare public comments came as Iran and European powers, and powders maybe too, meet in Geneva to discuss Iran's nuclear program, the situation in the Middle East, and Tehran's ties with Russia amid the war in Ukraine. Says the intelligence will be crucial to enable our authorities to make the right decisions and to find the right strategies. Also, the British Secret Intelligence Service, known as MI6, echoed those concerns. Got a lot more to report in here. Good to see Preacher over there as well. The next one, guys, is just to let you know about what's going on with Russia. They've been unleashing record drone attacks on Ukraine with foam decoys and the new Shahed warheads. So they're using foam decoys, vacuum warheads, and improved navigation are making Russia's drone attacks larger and more difficult to defend against, experts say. This is coming from abc.net.au. Says Moscow's unleashing its expanding arsenal of unmanned aerial vehicles on Ukraine at a rate and intensity never seen before. Says a record number of drones were launched across 17 regions in a single attack this week, striking apartment blocks and critical infrastructure. Again, a second major attack we reported on followed, targeting energy facilities and cutting power to more than 1 million people. Says analysts say Russia is now capable of producing up to 100 attack drones a week, fitting them with more destructive warheads. Says, and with a number of countries reportedly helping Moscow circumvent sanctions, it's becoming more difficult for Ukraine to keep up. So that's interesting development there. This one's coming from Hal Turner. You can take a leave it for some of the sources we got, but this has been reported from other sources as well. NATO, they're saying, could deploy up to 100,000 peacekeepers into Ukraine. It says NATO is increasingly leaning toward the need to freeze the Ukrainian conflict in order to restore the combat capability of the Ukrainian armed forces for an attempt at revenge. It says the West will solve these problems under the guise of deploying a peacekeeping contingent in the country. In essence, Ukraine will be occupied in northern regions, including the capital region, will become the UK zone. The center and east of the country, Germany, the western regions, Poland, the Black Sea, Romania. In total, it's planned to introduce 100,000 peacekeepers to Ukraine. We'll keep you updated on that development. The next report that I've got, guys, is coming from the Daily Mail. It says Europe is totally unprepared for the level of hybrid warfare Putin is set to unleash, with energy and communication sabotage, aviation GPS jamming, and weaponizing migrants, all tools of the Kremlin, it says. In terms of a wider conflict, it says Western leaders have accused Russia of sabotaging vital cables in the Baltic twice within 48 hours, after Biden relaxed rules on Ukraine firing long-range missiles into Russia, and amid speculation Europe may follow suit. This goes on to say a former senior European official told The Guardian that the EU is totally unprepared to confront Moscow in its campaign of hybrid warfare. So we're looking at Russian ships spying on vital undersea cables, spy drones over industrial sites in Germany, Baltic Sea, Nord Stream gas pipe and telephone cable sabotage, Baltic Seas, threats to aviation from GPS jamming. That's actually in the Baltic states. UK and Germany exploding actually a sex toy terror plot at a DHL depot. Overall, European-wide cyber attacks. Germany plot to assassinate CEO of arms firm. Poland, migrants sent over the Belarus border. Very, that's actually what's been going on. It says a 135-mile internet link between Lithuania and Sweden's Gotland Island went out of service early Sunday, according to a local supplier, before a 745-mile cable running from Helsinki to Rostock, Germany, went offline early Monday morning. Finland and Germany said in a joint statement they were investigating an accident, quote unquote, that immediately raises suspicions of intentional damage before European ministers put together a joint statement blaming Russia on Tuesday. And of course, Britain has shadowed Russian naval vessels and reconnaissance planes around its own coastal waters and airspace for more than a year, believed to be straining nearby and to test NATO reaction time, tactics, weapons, and patterns by attempting interceptions. British fighter jets pushed back Russian bombers in international airspace near Scotland in April of last year. And then in July, Finland said a Russian research vessel violated its territorial waters shortly after it joined the NATO military alliance. It says Russian vessels were systematically surveying critical infrastructure, including wind farms, pipelines, and cables in the North and Baltic Seas, according to a report by German broadcasters NDR, WDR, and newspapers. Goes on to say they consider the danger to be very real. So that's coming from the Daily Mail. The next one here. This is coming from the Express, which we've been talking about. Nothing necessarily new on this report. Again, it says World War III fears explode as Vladimir Putin threatens to turn Kyiv into dust in new grim threat. Again, Putin has warned he'll unleash the Orishnik hypersonic missile on the Ukrainian capital if UK and US long-range missiles are fired on Russia again. So again, issuing another stark warning, issuing threats if new rockets attacks on Russian targets are used. Putin told a press conference that Russia was reacting to ongoing strikes on Russian territory with long-range Western-made missiles. Said the Defense Ministry and General Staff are selecting targets. Says they may include decision-making centers in Kyiv, military facilities, and defense industry enterprises. Says it will be up to us to choose the means of destruction, including possible continuation of these tests in combat conditions. He actually goes on to say the temperature of the striking elements reaches 4,000 degrees. Everything at the epicenter of the blast disintegrates into fractions and elementary particles. Essentially, it turns to dust. Coming over at the Express in the UK for that report. Another report we got, Polish government, Russia has launched an open electronic war against Poland. The next report is coming from Zero Hedge, talking about playing nuclear chicken right now. It says we continue to climb steadily up the World War III escalation ladder. Biden foolishly gave Ukraine the green light to strike deep into Russian territory using U.S. missiles. Now Russia has responded as Putin promised they would. Again, on November the 21st, Russia launched a new hypersonic missile known as the Orishnik. It's a unique weapon designed to send a clear message. And this missile utilizes a system similar to the MIRV, that's the Multiple Independently Targetable Reentry Vehicle, and it's technology common on nuclear ICBMs. It says the new missile has 6 warheads, which each have 6 submunitions. So that's 36 projectiles per missile in total. So it says, and these are very high speeds. These are around Mach 10. That's 7,600 miles per hour. Again, that's 2.1 miles per second. It says at such speeds, even if these submunitions lack significant explosive payloads, the kinetic energy alone will make for an effective strike, similar to the sci-fi weapon concept, basically known as we've heard about it, the rods from God, which inert tungsten rods are flung down from orbit. So there's a lot of impressive Russian arsenal. The Zircon, the R-37, and all these weapons are fully operational, in full production, and have been used successfully during the Ukraine war. Says, as Biden goads Russia, he is implicitly relying on America's nuclear weapons stockpile as a deterrent. But it goes on to say, at this point, we cannot match Russia when it comes to conventional missile technology. Says, so when Biden willingly crosses Russia's red lines, he's counting on the threat of American nuclear weapons to prevent full-out war. Says he also appears to be attempting to sabotage President Trump's promise to end the war in Ukraine. Goes on, which we've been telling you about. It says it's incredibly reckless behavior. One major problem is that Russia has even a larger and more modern nuclear arsenal. Says if Moscow or a nuclear power plant is targeted by Ukraine using American missiles, there is a possibility that Russia would retaliate with a nuclear strike. Says we are in essence calling their bluff, and they need to preserve their own defense deterrence posture, or they could look weak. And again, from there, things could get very ugly very quickly. And again, in a nuclear war, there are no winners. Biden and his handlers are playing a very dangerous game. So again, that's coming from Zero Hedge. The next report that I've got. Glad you all are with us tonight. The next report I want to make you aware of all the aircraft carriers, guys. We've got, this is coming also from Zero Hedge. There are 3 U.S. aircraft carriers. They're going to be in Asia during the Trump inauguration. Says, and this is also coming from a Zero Hedge article, says in a historic convergence, 3 U.S. aircraft carriers will be in Asia by next week after months of absence amid concerns of Chinese activity in the lead up to the inauguration of President-elect Donald Trump. We're looking at, maybe I should put this up on screen. Hang on one second here. We got the USS George Washington with a crew of 2,702 arrived in Friday in Japan. This one is going to be home to the U.S. Navy's 7th Fleet, returning to the port for the first time in 9 years. It says the USS Carl Vinson was deployed to the Pacific on Monday. Meanwhile, the USS Abraham Lincoln is now in the Indian Ocean, passing through the South China Sea before heading home to San Diego. In terms of maintenance refit, we're looking at the USS Dwight D. Eisenhower, USS Ronald Reagan, and USS John Stennis. Goes on to say, according to the Nikkei, the U.S. has had no forward deployed carrier in Asia since mid-May, when the USS Ronald Reagan left. It says other aircraft carriers were sent to the Middle East. It says analysts say the increased U.S. military presence in the Pacific is to counter any threat by China in the 50-plus days leading up to Trump's inauguration on January the 20th. And again, the presence in the Middle East, where multiple carriers were redirected from the Pacific over the summer, will be reduced. Goes on to say China is clearly the #1 threat. The other one in here, hang on one second. This is the next one in here. This is actually from the Wall Street Journal. It says local sheriffs gearing up to help Trump carrying out mass deportations. It says the president-elect plans to give county authorities more power in deportation matters, with rewards for jurisdictions that cooperate and retribution for those that don't. Again, actually coming from the Wall Street Journal. And I can't read all of it, so because it's blocked because of a paywall. But even the Wall Street Journal is reporting about what's going to be going on and happening next. Finally, to kind of tap in what John and Hillary have been talking about and the UFO, this is coming from the New York Post. As soon as I can pop this up on screen here. Got an ad. Here we go. Been hearing about this. Really made the news yesterday. Well, many of us were at Thanksgiving. Mysterious lights over Capitol Hill causes UFO panic in D.C. says it's already happening. That was actually produced yesterday, but we want to get you caught up again. It says if aliens are looking for signs of intelligent life, they may want to look elsewhere. Again, an apparent UFO was caught hovering above Capitol Hill this week, sparking concerns that extraterrestrials could soon plan a coup. Again, a viral snapshot shows 4 bright lights eerily stationed just several feet above the Statue of Freedom atop the Capitol Dome, and was reportedly taken by a U.S. Air Force veteran and licensed tour guide Dennis Diggins. Says another video taken from further away seemingly confirms the phenomenon. The same 4 twinkling lights maneuvered from a square to a single line, but remaining above the government building. The picture soon sparked panic on social media, which was further whipped up considering the sighting came just weeks after Congress held a hearing detailing alleged secret government programs that described, quote, alien spacecraft. Says it's already happening, wrote one user. Another user, this is insane. Although many worried, others rushed to debunk the purported UFO sighting, with at least one expert theorizing the phenomenon was nothing more than reflections in the night sky. Said the lights at the U.S. Capitol building have been causing UFO sightings in the camera lens for decades and decades, says John Greenwald, a researcher and UFOologist, said on X. So again, you can take it or leave it for what you believe about that or not, but that's been going on, plus all the other developments that we've been looking over at military bases over in the UK, in Brunswick as well for our nuclear power plants. I mean, there's a lot been going on, but again, nothing really concrete and confirmed necessarily one way or the other. Rhonda right now is reporting a group of UAVs from UAV strike from the south in the direction of the city. Hang on, let's pull this up. I got the map up real quick as soon as I can find it. And here it is. So we're watching that very closely, guys. So it could be a busy night again. What else? So we're watching the situation in Ukraine, Russia again tonight. We've been watching Syria very closely. Again, the Syrian regime has received promises of additional support from Russia to stop the opposition's advance. Assad requests military aid from Russia within 72 hours. So that's developing pretty quickly as well. And then we're going to be covering the situation, of course, as usual, what may or may not be lighting up on the screen tonight in Ukraine. We'll watch that closely. And so I'm going to kind of make it a semi-short broadcast tonight, but I want to kind of get you caught up on the overall news of the day and to let you know that we've been doing pretty good with our Rumble Rants. We're just about made it for the month. If you want to help out, chip in through Rumble Rants or Twitch Bits, you have until tomorrow at about 6 p.m. to do it. And that will keep the operation going, guys. So I appreciate that. We've kind of stabilized things out. We primarily are kind of moving more over to the Rumble Rants going forward, trying to make that as the primary way to fund the operation, but Twitch Bits or whatever, anything certainly can help us out and keep things going. So we're doing a lot better, and I do appreciate you all very much for helping us out and keeping us going. What else, guys? What do we got here? Hey, there's desert in here tonight. Good to see you as well. Looking over some of the other news of the evening. Hang on one second. In terms of crypto today, we have been up. Bitcoin's up to at least 97,000. Hang on one second. Let me try to pull that up real quick. Let's double check that. $97,447. Oil's down a little bit. Gold is up. NASDAQ futures up. S&P futures are up. And Dow futures are up, if you're interested. Dow futures 45,000 right now. Looking at some of the other feeds here. It's kind of a little bit more quieter at the moment here, guys. So just want to give you kind of a general overview of what's going on in the world. And then with that in mind, just check in with y'all. Hey, good to see you. There's Jan being John. Everybody as well. Oh, let me give you all a quick weather update as well, because that's what we do here at TNS. We can always talk about something. So I want to get you caught up on the weather for a final weather evening update. Hang on, don't go anywhere. So most of y'all are probably in the cool to cold, wherever you may be. 50 degrees where I'm at right now. If you're out in Phoenix, you're 73. In LA, you're 72. And then if you're down in South Florida, you're 79 in Miami. But most everybody else is cool or cold today. So across the northern plains, it's cold. The Dakotas now are below zero. Bismarck and points off to the north are close to zero or below zero. Way Minot 6 below, if you're wanting to travel up there tonight. Most of the North Dakota, north of Interstate, what is that, 94, is below zero right now. So incredibly cold conditions across the Dakotas. Teens across South Dakota. Nebraska's in the 20s, but warmer, 45 degrees across southwestern Nebraska tonight. Kansas is in the 20s, 30s, and 40s, or even 50s. Again, Oklahoma's in the 40s. Arkansas is chilly at 43. St. Louis is chilly and 30 right now. Chicago's 25. Band of lake effect snow across from Ohio into New York and Erie. We've had some issues with travel conditions riding through here, I believe, as well. Up on 90, I believe, Interstate 90. And then across the northeastern United States, chilly as well. Bangor is 30 degrees. Boston, you're 39. And through across the northeastern through JFK, 43. And you go inland, you go from the right along the 40s or right along the coast, and then you go back into the 20s, interior portions of New York and into Pennsylvania. So not a lot of warm weather right now. Even 43 in Atlanta. You really have to go south of the front across South Florida as usual. Usually when you get south of Orlando, it starts warming up. West Palm Beach and all this area, you're nice, 77 degrees. Miami again, 79. And across West Florida from Tampa, 64 degrees. Sarasota, 66. But again, and even across northern Florida, 45 degrees right now. Over in 48 through Pensacola. So it's chilly across a good portion of the country. Even the Pacific Northwest is in the cool to cold. Spokane, 28. 41 over in Seattle. Portland, 43. And as I mentioned earlier tonight, way cold across the portions of northwestern Dakotas, or territories, I should say, and up in through Fort Yukon, well below zero. And what do we got? Fairbanks, 15 below. Anchorage is at 9. So incredible cold across Canada that's moving in to the United States. Don't have anything good to report in terms of really warm weather unless you want to go again down into South Florida or into Arizona. All right, what else? Let me check in again, guys. Steven says alert day, snow likely. Light snowfall amounts either side of I-64. So, guys, it's pretty chilly and relatively kind of quiet at the moment. So I just want to give you kind of a quick update tonight, this Friday evening, and let you know what's going on in the world. We're really watching Syria. It's kind of the big news that's been developing throughout the day. We're still watching Ukraine, NATO, wars on different fronts, a little bit of everything. And I'm going to be with you all throughout the weekend. I'll have another report up tomorrow and let you know what's going on. But that's kind of the update that I got. Again, thanks everybody for supporting the channel, keeping us going. We're very close to the goal. We got the Rumble Rants to make us hopefully make the goal by tomorrow. And that would really help us out, keep things going. Or Twitch bits, whatever your poison, whatever that may be. Keep things going here. Otherwise, quick shout outs to our audience. Tree Guy on Twitch. Ron is reporting and moderating for us tonight over on Twitch. And then All the Blue on YouTube. I see Hilly, John, Desert's in here, Jan again. Angela, good to see you. Sandy's in here. John Teeter's in here. For wherever you may be, time's rattling. Okay. Steven's in here. Crying Chuck's over on Rumble. Guys, I'm glad you're with us tonight. Just a quick update. Let you know what's going on in this crazy world, which it just continues. And that's pretty much my report at the moment. Okay, so we're going to wrap it up tonight on YouTube, and then I'll be with you all tomorrow. Okay. So with that in mind, I see Hilly. Again, John is in here. Hopefully you see me, because we're going to wrap it up. And then we can do our Aliens UFO podcast, video cast one night as well, and do that, okay? All right, guys. Chloe the Cat, Bri, I'm sorry. Chloe the Cat, hey, Hilly, I'm glad thank you very much. Thanks for watching us tonight, being here. Chloe the Cat, as usual, is doing fine. In some other room. She was up earlier looking for some squirrels out the window, and that was about it. Last I checked, I'm sure she's back to bed now, so everything's fine. Hope you all are doing well. Thanks, everybody. Okay, I'm going to sign off for now on YouTube. I will see you tomorrow, okay? You all and I hope you all had a happy Thanksgiving as well, okay? See you soon. I'll be back tomorrow. Take care.